The one thing we do know is the one thing I wish we didn't know, that Bryce Young is going to be the number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers, barring something ridiculously unforeseen and unexpected. We will see Bryce Young go to Carolina. The draft begins at number 2. And we pay very close attention to the betting markets. The betting markets for certain aspects of this existence we lead, where we follow the NFL every waking moment, at least Chris and I do, except when Chris is chasing Daffodil around the yard, is the information that can be gleaned from the odds. Remember the time when the notion that Aaron Rodgers was going to retire was fueled by the fact that they took all the Aaron Rodgers and Packers futures bets off the board in Vegas the weekend before training camp opened. And now we see the betting markets adjust and change, and Will Levis, lo and behold, is now the favorite to be the 2nd overall pick of the Houston Texans. I mean, we thought if they went quarterback, they'd go CJ Stroud.
Well, yeah.
No.
Right.
No. Will Levis is now the guy.
Right.
And Tyree Wilson is lurking behind him. And this gets back to what we talked about last week. What's Coach DeMeco Ryans looking for? Does he want a Nick Bosa, or does the organization want a quarterback? And if they do, right now, DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, PointsBet, and others think it's going to be Levis who's the pick.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because Levis, again here, it's kind of all over the place in the NFL. Listen, we all see the high-end talent, right? I mean, we see it. We saw clips on his pro day, whatever. The guy's got a laser. He's got a cannon, right? But there's issues along with that, whether it's footwork, whether it's decision-making, pocket presence, the consistency of the accuracy of the football. The talent's there. You know, it's like a Richardson guy. Like, you know, I know it's not Anthony Richardson, but I mean, that right there, what he just did is special. To be able to run like that and then throw the ball 30 yards on a, 10 feet in the air on a line drive, that is special, right? But there's the quarterbacky stuff and the feel and the play, and like I talked about, the different clubs in the bag and, all of that, that's where it leads him to all over the place in the NFL, Mike. There's a lot of people like his talent, but, man, I can tell you that there's a lot of people I've talked to that go, oh, man, he's like 4 for me. He's 5 for me. And then you talk to somebody who goes, oh, he's, I think he's up there with the top guys for me. So it's an interesting, again, adds to the dynamic of this draft to where it's a little all over the place, Mike. And I think more than anything, Will Levis at 2, of course, is a story. And you said it right with Tyree Wilson. Do they want their Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett type of guy there? And he's got the foot injury, so that maybe there's some trepidation. But I still think the big story is that CJ Stroud and the fact that where does he get drafted? And the fact that here we are a week out, and we kind of felt this last week, he is falling. And it sounds like it's all because of off the field and the personality, processing test that's become so popular in the NFL. So it's kind of an amazing turn of events here over the weekend.
Yeah, and look, somebody's going to get a good quarterback in CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
You have him ranked as number 1. And the reality, too, is, and I sent a few texts on our chain over the weekend about framing. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. There's so many factors that go into it. Chris is providing you with a snapshot of what he likes based upon what he's seen on film in college. He's not in a position where he can do all the research. The teams spend millions of dollars to do all the research. The film is the one thing that's accessible beyond the 32 teams. All that other information, it's kept very tightly guarded, unless, of course, somebody wants to weaponize it to make a guy fall. And with Stroud, I feel like that's what's going on. I feel like somebody who wants CJ Stroud is putting the crap out there to try to get him to fall. It's either that, Chris, or it's a CAA versus athletes first thing.
Maybe.
Levis is CAA, Stroud is athletes first. And it's that back and forth. What do I do to get my guy drafted as high as possible? It goes back to why Lamar Jackson was number 32. He had no one protecting him against the Bill Polian bull crap that he should play receiver. He had no one affirmatively pushing him and knocking down others. That's what they all do.
Right.
And something with CJ Stroud has taken root here in the perception of where he's going to go.
Agreed. 100%. Now, I think that some of what you're talking about definitely going on behind the scenes, right? But I also think there's something tangible there, Mike, because I got people who told me that they got no horse in this race, right? They're not in the quarterback conversation. and they still told me. And I think the big thing is with this personality test, right? The S2 test, and there's one or two other ones that float around the NFL right now, you know. And I got problems with them too, Mike.
That gets out.
I know.
I hate that
it's
it gets
bull
out.
crap. It's bull crap. I'm with you. And you know, it's still early on in the phase of this test too that I'm shocked that so many people put so much into it. But it doesn't necessarily determine success. But the one thing that coaches tell me is that it's been pretty good at determining, wait, it's not going to be successful. And I think that's where somewhere, you know, the rubber has met the road on the CJ Stroud conversation. Like you said, I mean, to me on the field, what I watch on film, he is number one, slam dunk. But obviously there's a little bit of a concern here with this, and it's just crazy that, you know, so much gets put into this. But I guess, you know, like you said, it's millions of dollars, it's investments, and they're looking at every under nook and cranny they can find possible here.
Not every team uses the S2 test either, which makes it not even as prevalent as the Wonderlic, which was, and always will be a useless indicator. But because they've always used the Wonderlic, they continue to use it. It's always been there. We do it. And even though it's not part of the combine anymore, the teams still implement it because they want to have those data points where they can compare a guy who's coming to the NFL now to a guy who was drafted in 1973.
Right.
Okay. So the Texans also have the 12th overall pick. Peter King has his mock draft out today. He's got them taking Tyree Wilson 2, Hendon Hooker 12. That's the way that you can still address the quarterback position.
That's right.
Because you've got the Browns' first-round pick by virtue of the Deshaun Watson trade. So they don't have to go quarterback at 2. They can go quarterback at 12. Hell, they don't have to go quarterback at 12 either. They can stick with Case Keenum and Davis Mills if they choose to do so, although many would think that would be a foolish attempt by the Texans to try to make their team better. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.